What's up guys, Rogue9 here. The Call of Duty World War II multiplayer beta was recently available, so of course I gave it a go, and in this video I will share with you my impressions of the game. Now I have to probably start this video off with a little disclaimer. I'm a long-time fan of the franchise. Back when the very first Call of Duty was released in 2003, it was, in my eyes, the best first-person shooter ever. I played loads of Call of Duty and Call of Duty 2. I skipped 3 since by that time my preferred platform for FPS games was the PC, but I came back and played Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 and 3 and World at War and the Black Ops series, and I only recently fell off the wagon, so to speak, when Call of Duty Ghosts ended up with disappointing reviews. The last two COD games, Advanced Warfare and Infinite Warfare, also didn't really catch my eye. The futuristic setting wasn't inherently interesting to me, and again, mediocre player reviews were pretty much the final nail in the coffin in terms of me playing those games. Nevertheless, despite not having played COD in recent years, I do still have very positive feelings towards the franchise as a whole, but, and this is really the important part of this little backstory, for me, Call of Duty was always about the single-player experience rather than the multiplayer. I've played COD's multiplayer modes in the past, but my experience is limited. So even before trying the beta, for me the new installment in the franchise was always going to be primarily about the single player, if the game turns out to be any good. But with all that being said, I gave the multiplayer beta a go anyway, and have to say it has some aspects to it that surprised me, but all in all it was pretty much what I was expecting. I remember watching the game's announcement livestream a few months ago, and the one thing that stuck out to me most was the description of the multiplayer mode they gave during that presentation. Glenn Schofield explained that their goal for the multiplayer was to recreate the fast-paced run-and-gun experience that the Call of Duty franchise was known for. And when he said fast-paced, my ears pricked up a little, and when he said run-and-gun, I pretty much knew that the new Call of Duty would be mostly about the single-player experience for me. To me, the fast-paced run-and-gun experience is a hallmark of classic first-person shooter games, and to a degree, a little bit of a thing of the past. The feel of Quake and Unreal Tournament zipping about at unnaturally fast speeds, jumping inhumanly high, all the while shooting guns as fast as they will fire, mostly from the hip, is something that can be good fun for a while, but feels just a little too shallow to keep me hooked for very long. Now, Battlefield 1, which I play quite a lot, is already pretty fast-paced compared to something like Rainbow Six Siege, and there are quite a lot of people who complain about the movement mechanics in Battlefield and the AD spam it has led to. Call of Duty World War II is another step beyond that. For me, the feeling of a player character basically gliding along the ground rather than running feels unnatural, and witnessing tactics like jumping around corners or dolphin diving just pull me out of the moment completely. I find it an odd clash playing a World War II game that feels like a classic arcade shooter. The devs emphasize this even further by departing from history quite significantly in terms of the weapons and upgrades you can get, red dot sights, glide bombs, etc., and the abundance of female characters to play. It is of course perfectly fine if that's the game that they want to make, it's just not quite my cup of tea. The best game mode available in the beta was War Mode. Having strategic objectives to work towards, either attacking or defending, gave the experience a much-needed additional depth. Running around in circles like a headless Nazi chicken in Team Deathmatch, with enemies spawning all around you constantly, was fun enough for a few rounds, but I don't see myself playing it for months or even years like I do other games. And beyond this, there are some concepts of the game that, to me as a COD noob, don't really make much sense at all. I know that the idea of killstreak bonuses is nothing new, but is it just me, or is it weird to include a mechanic that will take an unbalanced match and make it even more unbalanced by giving the guys on the winning team additional powerful tools to use? It's basically the opposite of rubber banding in racing games or the behemoth concept in Battlefield. The weapon unlock system also seemed very powerful to me. Of course, rewarding players for their dedication and achievement in the game by allowing them to unlock and upgrade weapons is great, but when the upgrades are too powerful, it creates a rift between new or casual players and the more hardcore community. For instance, the default aim-down sight speed felt really slow in the beginning, and upgrading that makes a huge difference to being able to quickly acquire and take out targets. And when you end up playing against people who already have access to upgrades that you don't own yet, it can quickly end up being a rather frustrating match. I guess the mismatch problem can be handled with level-based matchmaking in the final release, but certainly while playing the beta, coming up against opponents who had significantly superior weapons was quite common. And one final issue I experienced while playing on PC was quite widespread cheating. This was so much of an issue that when Sledgehammer Games provided some feedback on the changes that they will be making between now and the game's final release, hacking was the first point they addressed. They said, "Sadly, there are always those who aim to spoil the fun even in a beta. We have yet to deploy the suite of anti-cheat/hacking technology we will use when the full PC game is live. We take a level playing field extremely serious and will monitor and react to this as a top priority on an ongoing basis." Now, it's great that they acknowledge the issue, but the wording of this statement makes me a little worried. Okay, the good thing is that they say that the beta had no anti-cheat functionality at all, so the final release will be better at tackling the issue. But talking about a suite of anti-cheat/hacking technology worries me because it makes it sound as if they're not going to be using an established anti-cheat system like, for instance, BattleEye. Also, the fact that they will monitor and react to this on an ongoing basis gives me the feeling as if they already know that their current plans may not be adequate going forward. I completely do not understand the trend in modern games to not use a solid anti-cheat mechanism. Over 10 years ago, any multiplayer PC game would always have anti-cheat measures such as Punkbuster included as standard, but nowadays that's no longer the case. Rainbow Six didn't have proper anti-cheat system when it launched, and Battlefield 1 is still running on the borderline useless Fairfight. I believe that this trend in general needs to change, and the lack of confidence I now have in Call of Duty just adds to my conviction about the game's multiplayer mode. So yeah, the bottom line for me is that the Call of Duty multiplayer mode will remain a side feature, and the main reason to play the game will be the outstanding single-player experience that COD was known for in the past, if they deliver this time round. That being said though, I am looking forward to the opportunity to play the Zombies mode in co-op. It could be good fun, but not having played any of the more recent COD games, I have no clue what to expect from that. But there you have it, my 2 cents on the Call of Duty World War II beta. Did you get to play the beta at all, and will you be buying the final release? Do let me know in the comments section below. And with that, as always, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.